I never thought I'd give up my life in the city. I was a corporate attorney with a corner office, custom suits, and an espresso machine that cost more than some people's rent. But when my Uncle Ray passed and left me his old ranch in Westfall County, something shifted. Maybe it was the silence of the hills. Or maybe it was the fact that the land felt more like home than the high-rises ever did. The ranch had been in our family since the 1950s. 1,000 acres of sun-baked pasture, pine woods, and a weather-beaten farmhouse that creaked when the wind blew. Uncle Ray was a tough man, self-reliant. No nonsense. Didn't trust politicians or suits. He built every inch of that place with his own hands. And I could feel that weight in the floorboards. I left the firm, packed up my life, and traded court briefs for calluses. Life slowed down. Mornings started with strong coffee on the porch and ended with dirt on my boots. The locals called me Suit Boy at first, but it turned into a nickname, they said with a grin. We traded eggs and stories. For a while, it felt like peace. That was before the HOA showed up. There was a new suburban development just over the Ridge Sterling Ridge Estates. Beige boxes with vinyl siding, tight regulations, and people who paid dues to feel important. I didn't care. Until one weekend, I left for a short trip to help a friend in the city and came back to find my land torn open like a war zone. There were trenches, pipes, and heavy equipment scattered across nearly 2 miles of my pasture. Giant PVC lines snaked into the ground, with pressure valves and pump boxes labeled Sterling Ridge Utility. I stood there in disbelief. I hadn't authorized a damn thing. Then the letter came. Cream-colored envelope. Gold-embossed logo. Dear Mr. Nolan, pursuant to the Sterling Ridge Communal Infrastructure Plan, water access has been extended through your parcel. Your cooperation is appreciated. They actually believed they could just take my land. No negotiation. No easement. No permission. Just bureaucratic arrogance on expensive stationery. When I tried to confront them, their office security turned me away. No appointment. No entry. Back home, HOA techs were wandering my property like they owned the place. When I told them to leave, one pulled out his phone and started recording, calling my land a public utility corridor. Then came the invoice, $75. 000 for connection and infrastructure access fees. I was livid, but I wasn't stupid. I went into my attic and found the original deed, signed in my grandfather's looping script. It clearly stated that all mineral and water rights were retained by the property owner and descendants. Every drop in that aquifer, legally mine. I called an old friend from law school, Rachel Kim, who specialized in land and water rights. When she read the deed and saw the hydrology maps, she laughed. They just tapped your well. Logan, that's theft. Turns out, not only did they build the pipeline illegally, but the HO had built their entire water network around my aquifer. Their pump station, their distribution lines, all of it ran through my water. Rachel and I filed a cease and desist and began gathering evidence. No permits had been filed. No easement agreements. Just forged documents and quiet pressure from a few HOA board members with close ties to a local construction firm. So I bought the firm. No, seriously. The struggling water utility they had absorbed years ago? I tracked down its former owner. Bought the rights, the license, and the infrastructure. I became the legal municipal water distributor for the district. Then I sent Sterling Ridge a formal notice. All water extraction must cease within 30 days unless a lease is signed. $2 million infrastructure usage fee. $350. 000 annually for water rights. They laughed. Then I shut off the valve. The fallout was immediate. Families in Sterling Ridge woke up to dry faucets and brown lawns. The HOA tried to play the victim, holding press conferences, painting me as some greedy recluse. But when news broke that HOA board members had misused funds and bullied neighbors into silence, public sentiment shifted. People started showing up at my ranch, not to protest, but to thank me. Turns out a lot of folks were fed up with the HOA's overreach. One woman brought homemade jam. Another offered to repaint my barn. I offered the town a solution. I'd supply water directly to residents at a fraction of the HOA's price. Transparent. Fair. With no middlemen. The condition? The HOA had to dissolve. It took a few tense weeks. But under public pressure and legal heat, Sterling Ridge HOA formally disbanded. Their office shuttered. Their bylaws were void. And I turned the pipeline corridor into a wildlife pond. These days, we host weekend markets and let local schools tour the ranch. We call it the Open Range Project. Water's still flowing. Only now it serves people. Not power trips. You know, I used to think water was just something that ran in the background. But out here, water is power. And when they tried to steal mine, they forgot one thing. I was a lawyer before I was a rancher. And I play for keeps. So tell me, what would you have done? Was I too harsh? Or did the HOA get what was coming? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear your take on community power and standing your ground.